Aloha, everyone. Welcome. I see we have quite a few people joining in, so we will go ahead and get started here in just a couple minutes. So feel free to kick back, relax. We'll get started here shortly. See, we have some repeat students. Good to see you all. Well, virtually see you, technically, with the names. Aloha. So for those who are just joining us, welcome. We're going to go ahead and get started here shortly. Great. So for those who are just joining us, welcome. We'll get started shortly, but just a few reminders for you all. So we are in a webinar style where you all can see us, however, we cannot see you. So definitely just keep that in mind. Of course, if you guys have questions throughout the presentation about honors, definitely be sure to go ahead and put that in that Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. We will definitely be sure to get to your question at closer to the end, and definitely just feel free to keep asking those questions. This is really, this session is here. We are all here for you to answer those questions that you have. We'll also, of course, give you guys some resources at the end just on how to follow up with us and such. So definitely let us know if you have questions. But we really appreciate you all taking time out of either your morning, your afternoon, and I know with the time change on Sunday now, for some of you, it's the evening time. So we appreciate you taking that time out of your day. I know for me personally, I am so excited to learn more about the honors department. We receive so many questions every day about it. So we are so honored to have them join us here today. So we appreciate you. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it off.
I think you're going to pass it off to me. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, that is correct.
Aloha, everybody. It's wonderful to be with you and welcome. I'm very excited to be here on behalf of the UHM Honors Program. My name is Dr. Siobhan Ní Donncha, and I am from Ireland. So it's a good day for us everywhere. So happy Pat's Day to everybody. And we are a small program here in Manoa, and I'm going to lead us through a PowerPoint. We'll hear from a student via YouTube video, and you can actually go to the YouTube Honors Program channel as well. That's something you can do and see and learn more from a number of diverse students who have made videos for us. The words are their own, so feel free to get to know the students and think about how that might apply to your pathway. So we're going to continue on. Again, I'm Dr. Siobhan Ní Donncha. I'm a faculty member with the honors program here at Manoa. And let me just get the slideshow going. So did you know that the honors program here at Manoa is the only opportunity to graduate with undergraduate academic honors at UHM with notation on the diploma and the transcript? And did you also know the UHM Honors Program offers courses and designations across multiple majors? You can be in any major almost here at Manoa, and if you're accepted to the Honors Program, which is an application-based program, and I will discuss those details a little later, you can actually be in multiple majors. You could be an engineer, you could be a psychologist, biologist, sociologist, English major. There are endless opportunities for you. You work with us closely in terms of how that applies within your major. Your research is in the major that you're in. It's approved by your major, so you're not doing an outside extra project. It is all part of your major pathway if you're in honors as well. So that part's important because it is very synergistic and it is very efficient as you move forward in general. So how does this help you in a practical way? You could consider this as a post-grad prep experience, as if you had a college prep experience in high school, or did elements of that, even if your particular high school didn't offer that specifically. You may have chosen to take advantage of early accelerated courses in the community college system, for example. So those are things that you may have done to accelerate your journey. You could think of the honors program at a large institution like ours performing a similar function and giving you some enhanced skills that you can really apply and use in your postgraduate life. You produce a vetted, tangible product of demonstrated quality for the postgrad professional application process. That, for example, will either be a thesis, it's a research project, that's the overall term. It could be a thesis, it could be a portfolio. If you want to know more about honors, you can ask questions about that later via Amber, or you can meet with me as well, and you can set up an advising meeting later on if you choose to do so. We can definitely get into more detail about your particular unique pathway. So Aaron was one of our graduates in the last number of years, and I'm going to read out his statement to me that he shared just of his own accord on how the impact of being in honors and more importantly, culminating with a research project and graduating with honors affected Aaron's life. Aaron wrote, "I was just thinking the other day how much has happened since we first met in your office a few years ago, when I was taking a gap year on Maui, and before I had officially transferred to UH Manoa. I was so glad I decided to challenge myself through the honors program. I used a draft of my honors thesis for grad school applications and received a fully funded offer to attend UC Irvine's PhD program in visual studies. There is a professor there whose interests closely align with mine, so I'm very excited about continuing my studies. It's not a guarantee that you will get full funding, but it is something that can really make a difference in your life when you're able to show and demonstrate to selection committees of various sorts, depending on what you're interested in, your ability to have persisted through a research cycle, worked more in depth with faculty, gained more in-depth subject matter expertise, and had that be of quality. Those things really do matter to your development and to your opportunities as you go forward. And we have another student, Nicolin, who's a wonderful student. She is now a PhD candidate in social psychology. Nicolin's website is there too. Nicolin was also a graduate and alumna of the UHM Honors Program a number of years ago and got a full ride scholarship for a master's to PhD program. And her honors research work, which was quite in depth, she really did do an excellent project, was cited as an element in that decision making and in the offers she received from other universities. So there can be a really direct link. It's not a guarantee, but it definitely can be a helpful way to build your portfolio and your sense of self-efficacy as you go forward. You can do research in VAOR. And this is an example of a student who developed a program. And also this student won the poster prize at the National Collegiate Honors Council Conference poster division. And this actually is really focused on Hawaiian knowledge and worldview. So this is very specific. We have Sai, who also was a student with us, and he was in South Korea as a Luce Scholar and now is on a PhD program at Stanford. This is the undergraduate showcase where you do present your work. So this is the poster session. And this is just a view of students and the diversity of students. And then Max, we're going to hear from Max, and I'm going to play the video of Max, and these are his words sharing his experience of being an honors program graduate. Okay. I'm wondering if, okay, it looks like Max's video is not playing for some reason. What we'll do is we'll go back to the YouTube channel after and we'll play it directly from there. So how do you apply to UHM honors? So we have roughly about 450 students in diverse majors. It is a 4-year program unless you are a transfer student. You can transfer within Manoa, like for example, you're not an honors as a first and second year, but you would like to be as an upper division student, we really try to have students who are four-year students go all the way through the four-year cycle. So really that's what we focus on, or direct transfers. It's application based with an interview culminating. So it's a three-step application process using our software, which you would find when you go to our website. You'll see how to apply. You have to have a 3.5 GPA if you're a first year, or 3.2 GPA for upper division transfers. And that's really because our basic GPA is typically 3.85 for all of our students, but we do understand students have different experiences, or they may have had a rough start in their first year, and then they're just picking back up and continuing to grow their GPA. So we have an equity-minded application and GPA policy, but typically students have about a 3.85, I would say, is our general GPA. You do have to do a research project, and that is approved by your major through a particular process. I teach experiential learning, which means you go out and do things and you also get credit for that. While you do that, you do oral communication in my course, which is just an example. We have a number of excellent courses you can investigate further. And you also have a writing intensive. So you learn some real life skills. For example, our students this semester in my course are making a podcast. So they're in teams, so they're learning professional skills, communication skills. They're also engaged in something that's a really current way to examine issues and to enhance their own knowledge and to offer that to listeners. So we also have projects such as stellar cannibalism. So you could be an astronomy major, and you could also be someone who's a political scientist, and you get a Senate internship, which is through your political science, but you may be working on how dissecting and examining that as part of the course I teach. This is just for example. You could be someone who's learning how to code websites and is doing that in your communication sciences, your information system sciences, and other areas, and that'll fall under particular degree pathways, which you can learn more about. And so really your critical thinking is really important, as well as your skill building and concrete terms in terms of your major, because it has been cited by different research and also surveys that employers really want students to know how to communicate, how to articulate, how to be proactive, and come more prepared. And we do want to contribute to that in the honors program as well. Engagement and communication, so those are key characteristics. We like to build community in our program too. And these are some events that I've run as part of our honors program, Resilience. So you build a connection, you learn emotional and social skills that can help you lean into success as you go through your student life cycle. For example, finding balance. I think we can all agree that's something that's rather important, especially in the last year and what we're all going through together. So really the sense of community is not just academic, although that's really core to the program. It's also about engagement, connection, leaning into, our wonderful Hawaiian values, and cultural worldview is very important to us in our program as well, and having that sense of equity and connection. So this is me with some of the mentors I've had in the program who've also been in my courses and a guest speaker. We also are looking at things, as I mentioned, through the Hawaiian worldview. So that's really important. So we have different events when the pandemic allows. Again, those will resume. And, we have that connection and focus at events together. So I give you a brief overview. What I would normally do is just take questions, but I'd like to do, Amber, if that's okay, is to go see if I can locate that video. Sound okay, Amber? All right, so I will actually stop screen sharing temporarily while I get that up and running. And then I don't know why it had a little fail, but I'll be, I don't know, Amber, if you wanted to, I can probably address some questions while I'm getting that going. If you wanted to lean into any of that, that probably is fine too.
Yeah, absolutely. So I saw we had a student with us, just some questions about the application process and applying for the program. So I know we have a lot of students right here that are current high school seniors who are starting this fall. They're very, very excited about the next steps. They're wondering what's the best way to go ahead and start that process.
Thank you so much, Amber, and welcome to everybody with that question. And I'm excited to, what I'll do is I'll drop into the chat. It's in the slideshow as well, but the last page, which has my email and our website. But let me just quickly drop in, just because it might make it easier for folks. The actual, our website, our main link. And then what we can do is I will actually go through that, Amber, after I show Max's video. Sound like a plan? So I'll pop this in, and folks can just have it. Folks can just have that up and running. You might want to open a tab yourself so that you can kind of follow along. But what we're going to do is, for the moment, we're going to run into our lovely time with Max, because I'm sure you'd really enjoy hearing from him. And I will then go to our website and we can do screen share there as well. So La Fé la Porexonadif, which is how we say it, and in Gaelic, which is, you know, my mother language. So putting that in the chat for folks so you can impress everybody for the rest of your day, and go ahead. So let me get myself up and running here with the particular screen share. Amber, I'll give it a go again. We'll see if we can get Max up and running. Okay, looks good actually. So, all right, so I'm going to share this, make this open, and hopefully this will do the trick. Give me just a minute more. All right.
Aloha, my name is Max Nakamoto, and I'm an honors program student graduate. I went to the University of Hawaii at Manoa, located in Honolulu, Hawaii, and I graduated in May of 2019. My major was psychology with a double major in biology. For me, the honors program was really just a transformative experience, to say the least. When I first started out at UH, I felt like I was just sort of going through the motions, doing homework, studying for tests, and just simple things like that. I knew I was a good student, and so I wanted to just have something that would really challenge me and I could really invest myself. So I entered the honors program at UH. My first experience in the honors program was a couple of discussion-based courses and an experiential learning class. And for me, that was just so different from what I had come to know previously in my college classes. And it was at that point that I realized that there's so much more to learning and growing in college than just memorizing facts and memorizing lecture material. And I really loved those classes, and the generous support of the honors program advisors really inspired me to take on the monumental task of doing research and writing a senior honors thesis. And if I'm being honest, at first I was really scared and nervous of the whole idea. I had never done research before, let alone write an entire thesis. And so I was pretty intimidated by just the idea of it. But as I slowly went through the process, I realized that it was more than manageable, thanks to just how much support from my mentor and from the honors program advisors who answered any questions or concerns that I had. And I never felt lost or helpless at any point in the process. And so by my final semester at UH, I finally completed my senior honors thesis on research I was conducting on conceptual learning in honeybees. I was even selected by the honors program for a thesis prize for outstanding thesis, and they nominated me to the National Collegiate Honors Council, who then selected me as a Port Scholar among many, many students throughout the nation who submitted theses to them. And for me, that was just such an amazing privilege. And I got to present my thesis at their annual conference in New Orleans. I think if you told my first year self that I'd one day have such an honor as that, I don't think I really would have believed you. And I think that just goes to show, looking back, just how much growth and learning and maturing that went on for me thanks to the honors program. Writing my thesis was definitely no easy task. It took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but I think through that process, I learned a lot of dedication and resiliency, even in the face of unexpected obstacles. But I think the most important thing that I learned was that I can really take on anything I set my mind to. And I'm taking that lesson with me right now as I apply to medical school, and I'll take it with me through my education and my career and for the rest of my life. I think for that, I'm so grateful for having taken honors at the University of Hawaii. I think a tip I'd like to share with any students interested in for your university or doing an honors program is that I don't think you should stop yourself from doing something because you don't understand exactly what it'll entail or how much work it'll be. I think going through the process itself and knowing that there are people supporting you throughout the way will help you get through it. And when you get through it and look back, I think you'll be glad that you decided to take on that challenge.
Excellent. Thank you, Max. Excellent. So I'm going to drop in hang on just a moment here. I'll be right.
Okay, I see we have a lot of great questions coming in. So if you guys have more questions, feel free to go ahead and keep putting those in that Q&A. Definitely make sure you're typing them in the Q&A because we'll only see them if you put them in there.
Thank you so much. It's so fun playing with technology. Woohoo! We're all used to those Zoom gaps. So this should lead you to our Honors Program YouTube channel. Please let me know in the chat if that isn't, it looks a little different than it normally does, but I think it should take you there. What I'm going to do now, Amber, I will take more questions, is I'm going to just go ahead and screen share and take us through the honors application and what the website looks like. I think that would be the most helpful. Sound like a plan, Amber?
Sounds great.
Okay, so I'm going to do screen share. I'm going to pop over here. Okay, everybody, let Amber know if anything doesn't quite work. Okay, so here's the website, and I will stick the link in if I didn't already. So here you are on the main page. Let me talk about a few important things. This is the application software. I'll go into it in just a moment. I'm not going to go in all the way because I'm not an actual user or an applicant. I'll just show you what you should hit and click so that you can go in and then enter the software program. You may want to look at this as well at your own time, convenience, but this is actually a good sample of approved honors research projects. So you're going to notice there's quite a few diverse majors. This is maintained by the UHM library. So it may be that there are some older theses in there, but they're still useful in terms of maybe if there's science focused or biological sciences, but maybe focus more on the more current ones. It'll give you an idea. Don't get intimidated, okay? Promise me. This is an end goal after 4 years, but I wanted you to understand the kinds of topics that students follow and what happens as they develop the ability to pursue research. What does this look like? What are they contributing? So do this, but don't be intimidated. We're here to support you as faculty in terms of our teaching and advising because we wear a number of hats in the honors program. I'm teaching 2 courses this semester. One of them is Introduction to Research, and that's Honors 101. So you get to really work with your cohort and you all start to learn together. So don't worry, you'll get support, but I did want you to know about this resource. It is really helpful to return to over time. So what we're going to do is we're going to go right back here where it says Honors Makale. That's what you're going to use to apply. So that'll be your basic application. You log in with your UH username if you have that. You can log in as a guest if you do not yet have a UH username. Hope you do. Be great to have you with us. And then as you go in there with the UH username, it'll populate some of your data automatically. Otherwise, you will have to populate it yourself. You have some essay questions, one larger essay question. So you'll complete that. You will also, during this process, need to request a letter of recommendation. So what you do is you input the person who's your recommender, you put their email in there and you put their name. Now, of course, you should ask them first, so make sure they know they're going to receive this. So prepare ahead of time. But that is very easy for the person. It's just sent directly to their email. They can fill out the different fields. They can also attach an actual PDF if they want, but they can also just use the fields. At that point, the system should prompt you, once those 2 parts are done, to actually set up an interview. And what you're going to do, we'll go back to the honors website where it says advising. We just use that as a term for everything. You're going to notice that if you're an upper division transfer, so you're coming in as a transfer and you're really solidly approaching your junior year, then you should meet with my colleague, Dr. Bernadette Gonzalez. For any other students, you can meet with myself or Dr. Jamie Scally. So this is where you go into Star Balance. You just make the appointment. Be prepared to be patient. We do have a lot of meetings that we're taking. We're not only just focused on interviews, but it will happen if you are interested. The other thing is we do have a May 1st priority doesn't mean you can't apply after that. We do keep applications open till June 1st, and then we may accept more on a rolling basis depending on the particular cycle of application. We do have a cap on application only because we're don't have an enormous number of faculty. In that sense, we want to be able to give you the proper attention. So getting in as early as you can, if you think you're interested, just start the process today if you want and you think you'd like to, and then start to get those interviews going, because the process is a 3-step process. All of them are equally weighted together in terms of how you know, the decision is made by the honors program. But that should help you. So again, you're in the main page. You've got the advising where you make the appointments. You've got the honors makale where you go and you actually have your application portal and your software. And then all through here, you get lots of different pieces of information. If you're a prospective student, look in there so you actually get more detail. I just gave you the basics, but you can see the cutoff dates. So, so June 1st is the final deadline. Sometimes we can make exceptions. So if you can get it all, and you need to get everything done by then. So that means you get your application in, and then you have your letter of recommendation, the recommender submits, and then you have an interview. So plan ahead in terms of, if you're really interested, to try to get on our schedules earlier so that you can make sure to have that interviewed space. That would be my recommendation. So I think that should help you. Let me make sure to, I'm going to stop screen sharing now because I think we covered those basic questions. Hopefully that's helpful. And then I'm ready to take more questions. If you want to start going ahead with that, Amber.
Yeah, so I'm going to go, I know you answered some of these just now, but just to make sure I get everyone's question answered. The first question is just about the program in general, asking how many students are admitted to the honors program each year?
Well, we do cap it at around 150, including both transfers, maybe a certain proportion of students who may be already at Manoa, maybe they're in their second semester and they're applying because for some reason or other they didn't quite meet the deadline for the first, and then incoming first years. I mean, it can fluctuate, to be honest. I'm just giving you an approximate. And then we also have, you know, our continuing students. So you can see why we have to be really make sure that the balance is right for us to be able to offer that type of honors experience as best we can. And we also do, there is one thing I would like to mention. Students who are offered the Regent Scholarship are required to be in honors. So there is a relationship. This year, the two processes were not directly related in terms of the decision-making software, but just something for people to know if they're thinking they didn't apply for Regents, but they might want to apply for presidential, which is for the students who are in their junior and senior years, and you apply in your sophomore. Just something for you to know about. That's a really very beneficial scholarship. It has a direct association with the honors program now at Manoa, and that's just at Manoa. But that is something you might want to look into if you think you're thinking about presidential, because at this point, this year's application cycle has passed.
Mm-hmm.
So,
right.
Yeah, did you have any, did that cover everything, Amber, or did you want to?
If there was also asking if there's a difference when it comes to students who are either out of state or versus in state, and then also if international students are allowed to apply.
Yes, as long as you're able to be enrolled here at Manoa as an undergraduate, there's no graduate program in honors. So you do have to be an undergraduate, which I assume our audience is, right? So I think that's who we're speaking with today, but just in case. And we offer all of the same curriculum to all students within our program. So we do not differentiate. Everybody has the ability to access personalized advising, work closely with faculty, take classes that also meet their designations for graduation. So they could have writing intensives or oral communications, or they might have a biological science that you could take. Our courses are limited to 20 students that we offer directly. So that really does give you that seminar style and the ability to be able to really dig a little deeper and have that support and get to know your faculty, which can be really helpful when you want to apply to internships or other opportunities and your postgrad opportunities, because you could get letters of recommendation from faculty who know you as a whole student. And that's very helpful to selection committees to get those letters, as well as the ones that speak to your ability in the major.
Wonderful. I was like, that's so great for covering all that information. Yeah, so I think the other big questions that I've seen pop up a few times now is, I know you covered it's obviously open for freshmen and other grade levels, of course. And then the students are wondering, for applying to the honors program as an incoming freshman, does the 3.5 GPA requirement refer to the high school GPA, or is there a different GPA they should know about?
Nope, it's their high school GPA. It's your high school GPA. And it's not weighted, we just take the GPA. You can't just apply at any grade, just to be clear, Amber, though. You really do. No, I just don't want anyone to be confused. I know what I meant is that we really do encourage first years to be a 4-year applicant and apply. There are some case-by-case basis, if we have room in the program, that a student who maybe is in their second semester of their first year, they may apply in that first semester because there's a November due date, because they maybe didn't make the deadline or for some other reason they couldn't apply. So that's a case by case. We don't encourage it, only because we just want students to have the whole 4-year experience. And direct transfers are really our wonderful students who are coming from within the system or outside of the system who have accumulated a certain number of credits already that are actually applied within Manoa. Does that make sense, Amber? Just to clarify.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thanks for clarifying that.
Sure. Do you want to go ahead and other questions you might, or did I not address that full one?
Oh no, you got it. It's just more keep going on that. Even more information, I guess, they're looking for is students are just wanting to confirm, is the GPA that you're looking for, is that out of 4.0? Just because I know some schools do have a 5.0 system depending on the region.
We're just going with a 4.0.
Okay.
We're not doing weighted, which is what I think you're referring to, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Okay, and then students are asking, what sort of things will make their honors program application stand out? Is there anything in particular that you look for when accepting students?
I want to tell you some very basics you should remember, in my opinion, forever, which are spell check. Make sure you look at the formatting, your grammar, your syntax. Make sure that it's the highest quality writing that you can do. So try not to just do it in one sitting, and you may be better served, which I've done for applications in my past, creating that essay, making sure you know what the prompt is, and then maybe, you can save the application. You don't have to submit it all at one time. So you could hit save once you know what the prompts are and which one you're going to respond to. And then you maybe would want to write that in a Word document that gives you that formatting and grammatical and spelling support. And then just really think, when you're writing any essay for application, make sure you address the prompt clearly and you return to it. So then you just share, and it's totally fine to do that in your own unique way. We want to know who you are. We want to know about your experience. We want to understand you. But I would say those are really clear benchmarks that are very helpful, because you will be doing writing in the program. It's not you'll have, as I mentioned, I'm doing podcasts, so students have this oral communication element to their course, but they're doing writing, and that's a really important skill, because you need to be able to master that as much as you can, not just in your specific major, but interdisciplinary, so that you're able to apply for grants or internships or apply to jobs, and people can see, how you've got those benchmarks down. And that is really important. People really, really notice that. And it also makes the applicant and all of us, as we keep learning, more comfortable. So I would say making sure to address the prompts, making sure to answer all the questions. So just be careful, give yourself enough time, like any of us doing an application. Make sure you don't just do it in one quick sitting. I mean, you can always save and go back, so that means you can have time. And then with your letter of recommendation, make sure it's someone who really knows you and can speak to you in more detail. and is able to really think about you as a student who digs a little deeper and has an honors experience in a way that speaks to your ability to thrive over time. So I hope that helps, Amber.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And kind of going more into depth about the actual letters of recommendation, we have a student that's asking, are they able to reuse like ones they used for other scholarships as far as letters of recommendation? Or would it be recommended for them, for the recommender to be very specific towards the honors program for?
Well, I'll be honest. I mean, it is better if you tailor a recommendation letter to the opportunity. I know that's not always possible. I know that it's I do quite a few letters of recommendation myself, and I understand how busy recommenders can be. So I understand that. We will accept something more general, but I would say it's a little better, maybe quite a bit better, in terms of understanding your fit for the program if it's more tailored. So I would suggest doing that and seeing if that's a possibility in terms of your letter. But we will accept a general one as long as it speaks to the same types of characteristics that you would need in an honors program. If it's for an opportunity that has no relationship to honors or academics, that's not going to be very helpful. But something that has that, if you can judge that and see that there's really good crossover, I think that could work. But I would recommend, if possible, having something more tailored.
That's great advice. I love it. Now, how many letters of recommendations do you recommend for them to go ahead and submit? And then when is the letters officially due by?
So basically, it's a 3-step process. You do all of the, you fill out all of the fields, which will include a larger essay, but it's some other elements as well. That's done. Then you would need to have your letter of recommendation set up. You would input that person's name, contact information via email. So it's an email, first and last name. I think it may ask you for a phone number, but I don't think you need to put it in. So you could just go ahead with because really the key is the system's going to send that whole template to the recommender. We need one minimum, and that's totally fine. I just personally give the advice to do 2 only because if somebody is ill, unfortunately, or they've gone away, or there's reasons we can't know, that perhaps you're not able to contact them. If you're starting with a fresh letter, for example, if you have 2, it just is a little bit, and people, I will be honest, generally do at least 2, but 1 is fine. So don't stress. 1 will work. Try to make it as, applicable to the opportunity when you're speaking to your recommender. Obviously, there's going to be anonymous submission, but in the sense that you're not going to see that. Does that answer the question? Was there another question in there that we missed?
Yeah, no, you guys, that was perfect. So kind of now transitioning more into, I know that people are wondering kind of with those who are looking at the upper division interview application, they're wondering what that interview process is like and how that exactly works for the upperclassmen, if it's the same way.
It's the same. I mean, basically, when you say, do you mean somebody who's transferring from another institution, Amber? I'm not
Yes.
sure. So we have someone who has 2 years of, college of one kind or another under the belt, a number of credits, which establish them as a junior, an incoming junior, which is typically how you would kind of define that. Obviously, in that case, you would want to demonstrate your understanding of research at a deeper level, because you're going to be doing it very soon. So you need to really feel, yay, I want to do this, because you're going to get into that 2-year track, and it'll be quite prompt because you're not going through the 4-year cycle. So I think being prepared, reading the website, when you sign up for the interview with Bernadette, Dr. Gonzalez, my colleague, the director of the program, just really be prepared. Sometimes, we do all sometimes take upper division interviews, so it's not, but typically you will want to sign up with Dr. Gonzalez, because we divide our time and attention between our different populations. But I would say really being prepared to understand what research is. If you've done it before or have some familiarity with it, think about it, know and understand it, and definitely read the Scholar Space examples so you feel more prepared. I think those will be helpful for transfer students. Does that answer that, Amber?
Yeah, that was wonderful. I know definitely we've seen a huge increase of transfer students for this upcoming fall. So I know they're definitely, I've seen quite a few in the audience that I recognize. So I was like, hi guys.
Well, so welcome. Lovely to have you. We're excited.
So kind of asking more questions about the actual interview process now. The students are wondering, how does the registration for the interviews work, and approximately how long is that full process?
So basically the advising page that I showed you, that's where you sign up and you just choose interview. There are different reasons for meeting with us. So you just would choose interview. So we know ahead of time that you're actually, as much ahead of time as we can, that you're actually signing up for an actual interview. That's really important. And then just, nowadays it's not as important to say off island or on island because we're all digital, virtual at the moment. But what was the other part of that? You said there was another part to that question.
Yeah, just how long the process takes in general, probably from when they have the actual interview to hearing back in that, or if there's more than one interview.
Typically, if you come prepared and you're able to really kind of reflect your interest and be prepared with questions, interviews, you know, if you haven't had experience in interviews, do make sure to research. And this is just something to take as a professional tip. Research the website of the entity you're interviewing with. Be clear about why you want to do that and why you're applying for that opportunity. Understand how it relates to your own personal pathway and have questions about that. And also think about what you can offer that program that you're applying to, as well as beyond and above the the more focused academic elements we've discussed. But we are a community, we are a student scholar, Hui, as I like to say. So what are those elements? How is that important? I think those are really good things to think about. You can set basically our meeting times are a half an hour, so it won't be longer than that. When you will hear back can range from a week or two, but it could be sooner. It's often sooner. So generally it's a fairly quick turnaround. Depends on the particular faculty member's workload and all of that at the time, but you won't be waiting for months to hear, for sure. You will hear within a reasonable time frame.
And so then kind of switching into a little bit more about scholarships. A couple of the students are asking if the honors program offers any scholarships for high school seniors, and then basically does it cover any tuition costs, or is it, yeah, I know you mentioned a little bit earlier too.
Well, the Regents scholarship is the main one, and if you haven't yet applied or that didn't, wasn't part of your journey, that is a new one that we've taken on. So that's a direct relationship. You actually do have to be in honors to get that. So that's a big change. So that's a big ticket scholarship and presidential as well, which is for juniors and seniors. So they both offer really excellent. We have one scholarship within our own. We're working on more scholarships, but our big profile scholarship really is the Regents, and that's become something that's closely associated and required in terms of when you receive that, you have to be in honors. So that's the one I would point to at the moment. We are definitely building that portfolio. We don't directly help with tuition otherwise, not that we wouldn't want to, but at this time.
Wonderful. Now, kind of going into, I know we've had a lot of questions about the student life and how much time students can expect to spend on it. So kind of just kicking it off with that category is, what would you say, how much time would participating in the honors program take on top of your regular classes?
There's a question I see in the chat too about, do you have to be a full-time student? No, actually you don't. But you would want to talk to us and make sure that you understand that the trajectory and pathway, and we just see that that's the best fit. In terms of the other question you mentioned, this is not an extra program where you do 15 extra credits on the corner. For example, if you're a psychology major and you don't have an AP psychology or IB or any other way that you are transferring credit, you would see the opportunity to take, if excuse me, if it's offered in a particular semester, Psychology 100A, which is the honors breakout section. So that would be, you get your DS, which is social science, you get your honors, and if you're a pre-med student, but you're in bio, you would want to take psychology because that is a focus of the MCAT. So there's a lot of synergy and integration. You do need to plan. So you're obviously going to have great advising with my colleagues in your major, and then we help you integrate that pathway in as you move forward in honors. So it's very integrated, it's very synergistic, and that does depend on making sure to meet with us. And that's something I'd say to every student, meet for advising, really important.
That's great. Yeah, definitely. We encourage the same thing all the time. Like, go to advising. Whatever you do, just talk. We have all these advisors waiting to talk to you. So students are kind of wondering what types of classes are exclusively for honor students, and is there any majors in particular that they definitely do not offer or do not work with their programs?
Well, if you're admitted to the honors program and you remain in good standing, so you do have to remain in good standing semester after semester, and you would be eligible to take our own curriculum, which will have honors. That'll be the alpha. So I'm teaching Honors 101, like I mentioned. It's a writing intensive course, it's introduction to research. That's limited to honors students. You have to be in the honors program. So you could be looking, you could be a biology student, you don't get all your writing intensives in biology, all 5 of them. So you could look at honors and say, great, I'm going to take my writing intensive over here. I have this honors experience. I'm able to learn more about research early in my pathway. I connect with other honors students. So that's a win-win because you need a writing intensive anyway. You need the honors anyway. Woo, you did it. Great, you've hit 3 trifecta. And that's the case with all our courses. We have designations. So honors are limited, with exceptions, but rarely, to only honors students. Then the A that I mentioned is breakouts of larger lectures, as much as our partner collaborators are able to do. So it could be psychology, 100A, one semester. It could be a history, FG, another semester. One professor in the history department has created a course, and it has, it'll indicate the A, so you'll know that that is for honors. It's the way the system is lettered. We don't know why it doesn't have a H, but A's are for breakout honors students, and you may have some other students who are interested in pushing themselves a little more or having that kind of seminar style learning if the course doesn't fully fill to the 20 students. But those are the kinds of courses. So basically anything that has a HON is only for honor students, but they come with designations, and you plan them in. We have over 2 years, it's 2 HONs and 1 A. So it's very reasonable integration into your pathway, but it also offers a way to keep advancing. I hope that helps to answer, Amber.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I know there's been a bunch of questions about specific majors, but we'll go ahead and skip over those just for now with time. And if we get time, I'll go back to them. But students are asking if there is an internship that they can be a part of for the honors program, or how the honors program works with internships in general.
Well, we offer letters of recommendation if you find an internship you really want, which is really valuable because we can really speak to you as a whole student. And that's actually especially valuable in your first few years at the university as you're getting to know the particular faculty in your own major. You may not yet know them as well as you will in your junior and senior. So that's a really important part. We advertise in our newsletter. If we get opportunities for internships, we'll let students know about it. So we're definitely a communication hub. You also can work with the Undergraduate Research Opportunities Program, and I think they have a platform that's a grant funding entity on campus, but it's a really great way to integrate research. So you could be getting both a Europe scholarship and being in honors, so these can be synergistic. So there's a lot of ways that we connect. We don't have a specific internship, but we're always willing to support students and communicate with students' opportunities.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for answering that. I know everyone's very interested in learning. And then I've seen a bunch of students also ask how the honors program works with study abroad opportunities, and if they offer exclusive study abroad opportunities or if that's something separate.
Great question. So we have a number of ways that you can study abroad, or you can study across on the continent. through the National Student Exchange. So there's different ways you can study away. We don't specifically sponsor, but our faculty, I may end up going to Ireland at some point and having an opportunity like that integrated. I know my faculty colleagues have also done that or in the midst of doing that, but that's really more the faculty engaging with the Study Away Center, the Study Abroad Center. We do offer a credit-based course you can take in conjunction with Study Abroad that could meet one of your HONs, and it's more of a experiential build out of what you are engaged with, so that really helps to allow the student to get the credit for the HON while they're studying abroad. So that's an integrated way that we offer that. And it's helpful to really reflect on your experiences and come away with something, because when we're doing something so new and exciting, we don't have time to assimilate that deeper learning. So those are some of the ways we integrate. We're always encouraging, we're always supportive when it's safe to travel, and all of those good things are, you know, in place in the world, obviously, and opportunities that are available now, I'm sure, are being undertaken in the safest way possible. But as that continues to grow back into the, you know, phenomenon that it should be in terms of study abroad, we're always supportive of that. We don't particularly run that, though. Does that make sense, Amber, for that?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. So definitely, I'll go ahead and put a link in the chat too for study abroad for the students who are interested in that. And now there's a couple questions asking if students decide to change their major after already being accepted into honors, how does that exactly work? Or if they are part of an exploratory program with honors, is that allowed?
Oh, totally. We have lots of exploratory students. I mean, not lots and lots, but a significant number. I think exploratory is a really important element in your growth as a student, as a person. I always like to take the point of view that as long as you're meeting for really clear, connective understanding of different pathways, advising, can talk with us. We work with all majors across campus. Our exploratory program partners do as well. So you have opportunities in terms of changing a major. I think the main thing to think about as you go through your student life cycle as an undergraduate is communication, meaning you come and talk to people who want to help you. So if you're thinking something, just talk about it. I'm thinking this, I'm thinking that. And it's wonderful to hear from your fellow scholars, and then they have great support and connection. But in terms of concrete information or strategic advising, make sure you go to the available personnel, whether they're faculty or not, who can really help you think that through, because it's a very complex, deep process that isn't just simply, I'm going to go from A to B. It's, what do these mean to me? Why, how might this play out? And what does that look like when I graduate? And I mean, nobody can tell you exactly what anything's going to look like, but they can definitely give you some framework. So I think it's about communication. You can be an exploratory student, you can think about changing majors, and you can plan well for all of those scenarios.
Wonderful. Now, I know students have been asking a little bit more about their extracurriculars on top of just, you know, at their classes. So I know we had a student asking about ROTC and student athletes and on-campus jobs. Are the students still able to do that even with being an honor student?
Yes, we have had ROT. We just had an ROTC graduate this past spring, and I think we've had more than one. And we have a number of, I've got 2 student athletes in my classes right now, 3, I think. So it's absolutely possible. It's planning. You have really great support in terms of both of those entities and others. And in terms of jobs, I'm a first generation student, and I worked my entire life in academia. I was at, you know, when I was an undergrad, when I did a master's, and when I did my PhD, I've always worked. So I understand that balance. That's why I'm saying that. I understand it. I know that it can feel like a challenge. Again, communication, strategy, planning, understanding how you can move forward. We have a lot of really great tools that our community has developed here. UHM program sheets. You should look at those. If you don't know what those are, I'm going to pop that into our little chat window here. Those are available. Really, you know, you may not find them at every institution, but I will say they're such a great help. And if you can spend a little time looking at, you know, what what does the major look like? What does it look like over 4 years? I'll pop this in case you haven't taken a look yet at those. Those are really good tools. So I think then those help you in terms of strategy. And you'll find in your STAR GPS that this is replicated. So you may come in with credits. So make sure if you've already earned credits, do think about and check with my wonderful colleagues here in admissions, whichever part of that does deal with those questions. If you haven't, if you already have APs and you actually discover they actually could apply here at Manoa, but you haven't put them in, registration does start in May. I don't know the exact time frame. It's usually a few weeks in. So thinking about those strategic things early so you can understand if you happen to have AP credit for chemistry 161, you don't have to take that placement test. But if you don't apply it, now typically that won't come out till July, but just things to think about and be aware of as you plan. So I put that in the link for folks.
Great, thanks for sharing that. Yeah, it's still a couple months away, but it's gonna come up quick. It always does. Every year sneaks up on us.
It's well, you're graduating, all of you are graduating or you're transferring and you're busy. So try to think a little bit about strategic planning so you just know enough that you're able to really be as prepared as you can. Because of course, you know, you're busy too.
Yeah. Now, for the students who are interested in taking summer classes, do honors offer summer classes, or are they just during the regular fall semester, fall and spring semesters?
Funny you should ask, Amber, because this summer, for first time in a long time, we have honors classes. I'm teaching one in the second session, and one of my colleagues is teaching the other one. It's Honors 101, Introduction to Research. So you could, if it fits your profile and you're admitted and you'd like to get a little bit of a head start, or you're a heavy STEM major, or you're, you know, all of the different profiles, there's lots of them out there, you could consider. And I think, let me see if I can find the link to summer sessions. Do you want to go ahead and ask any more questions while I'm doing that?
Yeah, of course. So it looks like, I think I've seen this question a few different times, is people are just kind of wondering what the best benefits, I know you touched on this already, but kind of like the pros and cons of being in the honors program. Like, what are the big takeaways that they can have from today's session?
Well, I think it's about a deeper development. I'm just popping the UHM course availability, and summer is in there. Excuse me for just a moment. All this talking, it's wonderful. So what I would say is that the professional skills, not just the academic skill acquisition and subject matter, context, expertise that you gain, and the way that you can have a vetted, tangible product, as you've seen from our two examples with Nicolin and Max, and also Erin, you can see the benefit in terms of the kinds of opportunities you feel more prepared for. It depends on what you want next. And I think learning how to develop those in-depth change agent skills, communication nestles under that, ability to write well and be able to present yourself well. So if you're applying for something, your essay is stronger, your interview is stronger, you've had practice presenting at the undergraduate showcase, and in my course, you also present in both of them. So you start to learn these real life practical skills that actually pay off later. You've really strong letters of recommendation if you've been able to develop those relationships, and that's something that you continue in terms of honors. And I think it's really about the enhanced profile and the preparatory pathway that you took, which increases, I would say, from my observation and from students self-reporting, your sense of self-efficacy in all that you're going to do. So it has a number of different markers. It is meant to be more work, but it's not excessive or unreasonable. But building capacity requires that type of effort. That's just true of anything that we want to really undertake. So I think it's a very reasonably oriented program, but you are going to have to learn how to, you know, you're a novice. I was a novice. Amber's a novice. We're all novices at the beginning of anything we do. But what you learn, we cannot know, we don't know yet. But that's okay. That's actually a part of growth. So the sense of, you know, and as a first generation student, I didn't have these opportunities. And I will say to you, I wish I had. And that's one of the reasons I am a faculty member doing what I do, to help provide those in an equitable way to any student who wishes to take advantage of it, because it can really translate into meaningful impact postgraduate.
Wonderful. So I know we still have a bunch of other questions, but students, we will definitely encourage you to go ahead and reach out to the honors program, of course. Definitely check out those links that we have listed in the chat. And oh yeah, go ahead, Sean.
Yes, I just want to say, so the best thing would be, if you really want to know more, just set up a time. I would really encourage you, it doesn't cost you any money to apply. So apply, get your letter of recommendation, have your interview. Your interview can also be the place where you ask questions, because really understanding your profile is only something that's possible if you get a little bit more in depth. I mean, I think we've covered nearly all of our main questions in terms of, but it really then, my experience, becomes more about your particular student profile, because they're just going to be unique. And it's going to, so I would really encourage you to really take those next steps if you really think you have some interest, because that's the easiest and most direct way that you translate the questions into a decision that, you know, if you get admitted, you can decide, I'll say yes, I'll say no, or we'll see what the fit is, or any of those things. Along that way and in that process, you really do start to understand what it means. And I would really spend quite a bit of quality time on our website. We do have a lot of information there too. So I would recommend that as a absolute next step. If you really found this to be kind of exciting and interesting, go for it. I really would recommend it. I mean, you don't have to, it's your choice, of course, but you are invited to, and do it sooner than later so you can be considered. Just, you know, if you want to be considered before the priority.
Yeah, now just to confirm one last time, because I've seen a couple of questions pop up. When is the deadlines for this fall, for fall 2021? And also, are students required to live on campus?
We do not require that. If the residential learning program is able to provide student housing for an honors for, which they typically do. I'm only saying that because we know the pandemic it has happened that there is a floor each year. We assume that's going to be the case. But I would really recommend that if you really think you might like to live on the Manoa campus in student housing, then you do look at that May 1st deadline. The May 1st deadline is the one. I'm going to send the link for prospective students, and you can find this on the website too, but May 1st is the priority. You can apply up until June 1st is the final deadline. And sometimes we might be able to accept applications on a rolling basis during the summer, but they do cut off typically by August, I would say. So those are a little looser. They're really more case by case, but I would really plan, if you really want to have the opportunity to think about living in the student housing, if Student Housing Services is offering that this year as it does each year, then May 1st would be your target. It means you have to have everything done by then. It doesn't mean you set up an interview on May 1st. It means you have to have a decision by May 1st. You've done the 3 parts, your application, the letter of recommendation is in, and you've had the interview, and there is a decision. And if you are admitted, then you're on the list that we send to Student Housing Services. So May 1st, priority associated with housing. June 1st, final deadline, possible case by case through June. I mean, yes, June and July, probably cutting off in August. That's a little bit looser because it's really case by case, and we don't have it on our website per se. Does that help answer that?
Yeah, that's perfect. Now, do you have any last points that our students should know? Or I feel like you covered so much wonderful information. It's fantastic.
I'm glad to have been able to be of help. You know, myself and my colleagues will be delighted to have you apply. Just do it as soon as you can, and be aware that our schedules may be booked right, you know, next week, because we do have appointments or meetings other students have made a long time ago. So don't be frustrated by that. Just be patient and try to find a spot amongst the 3 faculty members, and then just do that through the advising portal. So you should be able to sign up, and my email, I'll give you my email. You don't set up a meeting with me directly. You do it with the online system. So it isn't that you would email me and I would set up an appointment with you. You just do that through the portal. But you definitely can email me. And if don't worry if I don't get back right away. I've a lot of, even in spring break, I have a lot of things going on. So I'll definitely get back to you as soon as I can, though.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Siobhan, for joining us here today. It has been so wonderful to have you join us, especially on St. Patty's Day, of course, as well. So students, we want to say thank you guys all for taking time out of your mornings, afternoons, or evenings, depending on your time zone. We hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And if you have questions, let us know.
Aloha. Take care, everybody. Aloha. Thank you, Amber. And our silent partner there, Stacy. Really appreciate it. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay.